Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tap Into the Gray, here with Jace Monarch. This episode, it's going to be a discussion about ADHD with my friend Danny Cole here. We've met on a online group. It's an ADHD men's support. He's getting into understanding and supporting individuals who are living with ADHD, and I just thought it'd be a great idea to bring him on and have a really nice, natural conversation about certain things like, what is ADHD? What does it mean to us, especially personally in our lives? And, ways that we can kind of overcome ADHD in our lives, things that we put in practice, things that we're actually learning along the way. But without further ado, Danny, tell us about yourself. I'm sure the guests want to know who you are and what you've been up to.
Cheers for having me, man. So the plan is, I look forward to the day I can say I'm a men's ADHD coach. Might do outside of men as well. But I like to cross it over with, I guess, men's work, a lot of the psychological aspects, mental resilience, things like that. Getting disciplined is way harder with ADHD, but it's not impossible. That's eventually the plan, to do that and bring a bit more community of people together. It's easy to feel like a lost soul when you're going through it all alone. But for now, I'm very much starting out as a beginner. I have set up a little website and Facebook page and stuff, and I've started hosting weekly online meetups, so that's been pretty fun. Glad there's a guy that gave me the opportunity to do that, because he's got this meetup site, so shout out to Mark for that. Yeah, really enjoying it. It's nice to put all my notes together, like years of just notes. I've got literally piles of notebooks and notepads and things of little wisdom I've collected over the years, and it's nice to organise it and put it all together now and teach things, not just what I've known, but what I've learned from experience and things as well.
And that's awesome. Love running into people who are taking something like this and turning it into a passion, and living with ADHD, knowing it's challenging, saying that you're structuring things, taking things that you've learned over the years, things that you've put together yourself, and you're structuring them yourself. That's an achievement in its own. What do you say has largely benefited you in that area? What would you say?
A lot of things. A lot of the internal work, I think, more than anything, which is got a variety of jams in itself. I learned from Stoic philosophy. My mate introduced me to a lot of Buddhist philosophy. So obviously the psychology stuff. So I'll give a very brief breakdown of some of it. Yeah, you got like psychotherapy, which is more the past stuff, working out trauma, where it all comes from. A lot of it's childhood, but not always. It's how like events shape your narrative of the world, the way you perceive the world, and things like that. And that ties into cognitive behavioural therapy, which is more present based. In you're kind of addressing and confronting your trail of thought, and again the way you perceive the world. And it's like, if you can, because we do a lot of things on autopilot, we perceive things in the world, how we learn it, different stages of life and different events. So if you can kind of bring it into light and then look at it and question it and think, okay, what are some other perspectives? What are some other ways you can see the world? And then sort of slot it back in. Yeah, do a lot of internal work that way. And then humanistic approach is closer to coaching, where it's more, okay, so we've figured out where you're at, and it's more diving into who you are and where you want to go, kind of stuff. So past, present and future. I think, in my opinion, I got a little stuck on my degree when they asked, like, what kind of psychologist do you want to be? Do you have to pick one? And I was confused, because like, surely you should be good at all of them, because otherwise you're just only doing a little bit of the job. That's when I decided, well, okay, I want to do it my own way. I don't want to be restricted by the systemised bureaucratic roots of it all.
Staying within certain rails. I got you.
Therapy side of things, I have to be very careful. Like, depending on how heavy the issue is, like, there's times to hand it's like, you need a therapist for this, but I can at least say what kind of therapist they need. I can touch on things a little bit, it depends. So there's a blurry line that I think a lot of these life coaches cross. There's some really good ones out there and a lot of shit ones. So yeah.
I can vouch for that. I mean, I think in any field you'll find people who have great intent that want to do good, and as far as how they execute, it's not always a smooth thing. It's not always the best. But then you've got masters out there, and those are the ones that I find to be the ones that have, like, they're more mindful, more thoughtful. They're very tedious about their research, about how they process and then how they execute everything. And that's just, it's like becoming a blacksmith, and you're honing that sword or that shield. And it takes years of accomplishment, dedication. Some people think of it as, I guess their approach, for lack of better terms, is like it's more cosmetic. But you had some pretty interesting things to drop there that I was like, wow, okay, the Buddhist thing, and the Stoic. I want to know more, and I'm sure there's going to be viewers that are like, okay, what's this brother got? This whole meetup thing that you're talking about, it's something that I want to do as far as building a community and connecting with others. So when did you start this? How is that going for you?
Yeah, I reckon you'd be natural at that. So, I think, you asked how long you've been doing it for. There's kind of two answers, because I guess from about 21, I really had the sense, I guess it helped that I was a lonely loser in a way. I've seen it as a blessing in disguise, because I was able to kind of step back and look as if I'm an alien looking at chimps or ants or something, and then trying to figure out, what is all this being alive thing about? Why are we told to do things a certain way? What if you don't do it that way? What are the alternatives? And so I was always had a love for films that had mentors in, so Karate Kid, Rocky, Coach Carter, stuff like that. I didn't really know where to find the wisdom, but always had a hunger for it without even realising it. So there's always been a lot of deep thinking, been a bit of a philosopher by nature. But it wasn't until, I think, about 27, when my daughter was 2. So, been a single dad, raising a baby by myself. That's a long story. But yeah, I found a men's group. Richard Joy from Awaken Man. I'll happily give him credit, because he runs a brilliant group. We didn't do one-on-one coaching, but just attending a group and having that men's group for accountability and check in and learn a bit of wisdom really set me on track. Learned a great deal of wisdom there, and then the tricky part was getting disciplined. It was like I wanted to do things and hit goals, and then just wasn't doing it. I was making a bit of weed on and off at the time, and then there was a lot of procrastination and getting caught up in things. And it's like, do I really want this, or is that just my ego telling me I want this? But then it was like, I can't let it go, I do want this. And then that confusion. Turns out a friend had ADHD, so naturally I started researching into that. Found Dr. Russell Barkley video that was really helpful, because he explains like the mechanics of how the brain actually works rather than the behaviours. I learned a lot about ADHD, realised, a lot of things are clicking here, explains why I am the way I am and things like that. And since then, it's been learning from others, as well as finding my own creative ways to deal with things, like using the reminders to do things. Got a little smartwatch that buzzes because I don't want to get notifications on my phone, little things like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to keep myself on track. And now wouldn't say I've perfected sticking to a schedule, but I've definitely improved big time. So many things have improved. Like used to have just general wake up irritable and shitty and stressed. A lot of triggers, insecurities, shy, bloody everything. Now I'm like almost a complete opposite person in a few years. It's really weird, but loving it.
When you say that, to feel the difference of who I am now to where I was, it's night and day. And I love it. I celebrate it. I've been a bit of a deep thinker, I guess you can call an empath as well. And I've just always just had this thing about wanting to understand people. And I never really took the focus and put it on myself. I know throughout the years it's always literally just been like, I'm screwed up and I got AD, I got this PTSD and all this. So whenever I thought about myself, it was in terms of just labels.
Yeah.
Whether it was ones that others gave me, the ones that I gave to myself, or medical, therapists, all that. And it's not fun feeling all those labels. They become pretty loud and a focus, and it didn't allow me to live. And here recently, after jumping into the ADHD men's support group, it started this brand new kick. I was already on my way because battling certain things that I'm dealing with, a chronic illness and all that, which I'll get on, talk about later on because it's a little relative. But let's just say it started me on this journey of self. I wound up being isolated in all these things because I'm not driving. Pretty much here at home. I didn't socialize. It was just unless it was with my kids and my family. And I was like, man, I want more. But it was like the catalyst to turning the spotlight on myself. And through the work, these things that I'm finding and understanding, like you said, the mechanics of how the brain work, understanding the nature, like what is ADHD, what are, I guess, life symptoms and other things. It's like, oh shit. Oh, well, now I'm understanding why I've been this way for so long. And with applying the things, like you were saying, things that help with discipline, which is in my last episode with my buddy Barry, it's about your reminders and the alarms and everything. You start applying these little things that may have not been applied before, but if they have been with so much dedication and emphasis, things start to change. And when you're understanding yourself, you're implementing all the tools needed. All of a sudden, you wake up one day and you're like, well, this is unusual. This isn't the usual me. And I've started to appreciate that a lot, where I wake up every day like, I don't know what's going on. I know, but as far as the feeling, I don't know what's going on. I can't say exactly what it is, but I know I love it. And it's nice. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah, I almost sicken myself being able to say, I think I've become one of these morning people now. I wouldn't say early riser, but I take my daughter to school, I come back, I'm like saying hello to the dogs on the way, and it's like, what the hell? Like, I always fully believed that that's just not me. That's never going to happen. Not possible. Because I'd always wake up and say, everything's just, oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. It applies to a lot. When you say that, same here, I'm, especially when it comes to being active and I liked being indoors and outdoors just as much, but I stumble across a few things about myself where, like, I accidentally became kind of vegan. I accidentally became more I don't want to say athletic, but more into physicality, self-care in that aspect. And it's night and day, and it blows my mind. Like, this just happened in a short time. And I think that just goes with some of the things that I always say, where I know there's a lot of people out there that don't believe that they can acquire this kind of stuff, whether it's being, I guess, more in tune with being responsible, being on time with certain things, or health, or whatever it may be. But it's possible. It is possible. And I love talking to people that are experiencing the changes, and that's why it's great to have you here on board. If there's anything that you could tell somebody to, give them some form of hope that things can change for them, like what are some words that you can share that you feel that would encourage someone to want to believe that this is something that's real?
It's always hard to pick one thing, given there's so much I've learned and done. I think it all has to start with the internal work first, like, because everyone starts out with a playful heart of an innocent child. The nervous system is your inner child. It sounds kind of wishy-washy and stupid to say, like, the inner child to a lot of people, but I mean, what it is when you're a kid, you learn about the world, so you get perceptions of the world, and that gets stored in your subconscious, your nervous system, so that becomes like the foundation of who you are, and then everything's layered on top. So yeah, getting to the core of that inner child really helps. I mean, you don't have to wake up like super excited or anything, but if you wake up a bit irritable or whatever, or You got certain anxieties and things like that, or general crappy mood and things. She's like something's up that needs addressing, and it's not always obvious. I think one of the hardest parts is it's all very well knowing something's wrong, but what you're supposed to do with that if you don't already have the insight. I think it's good to have. I think we need a lot more men's groups, because men should talk more, but to the right people, because that bit gets overlooked. Because if you talk to your mate in a pub and you say like you're depressed and you've had this secret stuff going on for years, they're like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. You talk to women about it, like partners and stuff. It's not all women. There's plenty of mature ones out there, but a lot of them, you know, they end up holding it against you at some point in an argument. So yeah, we need men's spaces and stuff more for that. Anyway, healing the heart, I think, and is the first step. Second to that, becoming mindful. I haven't really thought about step by step. This is a good question. Yeah, mindfulness being just being aware of your emotions and your trail of thought. And I had a bit of an epiphany once, realising a lot of our trail of thought is emotion. It's just in verbal form, and helps to be able to question the narrative and again see what's another perspective you can have. Recent one on understanding emotions, because each emotion has its own kind of pros and cons, and that can change on the situation. Like, give an example of I used to have anger issues. Anger seems like one of the negative emotions, and I get that, but it can help you stand up for yourself. It can help you set boundaries if you're not, you know, if you're feeling anxious and things like that, or if you've been a pushover and things like that. It's like it's kind of there for a reason. It's like having a drunken, narrow-minded friend that's trying to help you. It's like not ideal.
That's a great description.
Not ideal, but the intention's there, you know.
Right, it's like, come on, brother, step on in for this. Yeah, I need you on the team. He comes running in off. Right.
Yeah, having healing the heart, you know, getting back to your playful self, having the courage until you get confident, having that awareness, the internal awareness, and then figuring out who you are, what you're about, and then if you can figure out what you want to do and where you want to go and how to do it, that's like even fucking better, 'cause a lot of people don't get that. You know? A lot of people die before they have that, so if you can get to that point, that's where I think coaching really helps. So to do the healing stuff, that's more therapy.
Yeah.
To do, I think you just have to experience life a bit and try things to find out a bit more of who you are and things like that. Get to know yourself, and then the coaching stuff usually is more figuring out what you want to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to get you there step by step, all that good stuff. And then you get to go on the journey, and once you start it, oh man, whole different world. It's like, yeah, as I said, loving it.
It's so wild, you know, because the way you put it together, it really chimes in with me. You mentioned first, you know, working on the inner child. You're just, you know, inner work, certainly. Finding, it is connecting with your inner self, exploring, you know, your conditioning, the things that have happened to you throughout the years that got you to this point, all the good, all the bad. Like, hey, you know, these were great memories, these were great experiences. It's brought me joy, it's brought me this kind of positivity, but these are the things that really affected me. And then getting the tools and whatever help and resources in order to get through that, to understand, like, wow, these are things that I didn't realize that were always in the background, but they were loud enough to take control of my life. And for some it's easier than others to overcome, but in any which way, shape, or form, it's getting down to those, you know, brass tacks and saying, all right, this is what's been getting me for a long time, and these are the demons I got to work out.
Yeah.
And it ties into what you were saying, getting the appropriate help. Speaking with someone there at a bar, one of your buddies, or whether it's, I don't know what to do, or hey bro, have another fucking beer and shut up, or something like that. It's just, it's speaking with caring people who are professional. And when I say professional, it doesn't always even have to be therapists and all that. It's, you know, life coaches and things like that. I'm learning that offer a lot of, like, an abundance of information, and will let you know, hey, yeah, this is great for you to do on your own. These are great things to do in the group, but there's also these great things that you need to do with a therapist because you're going to need special work through this whole journey that you're on. You mentioned there about, I guess you could say with women, relationships. Yeah, I think it's great that you mentioned that men need more groups, more togetherness. Men ought to be able to have their space in order to be able to voice, vent, receive feedback, which is huge. You can't just be a dumping ground. You can't just dump on people. You have to be very receptive because that's a part of the progress. But men must be comfortable in vulnerability and saying, hey, this is what's going on with me, and really, really embrace that vulnerability, because that's where you get places with that. And I feel, I'm not sure everyone would agree, that men helping men is the best way to go. Yeah, I love a woman's perspective, don't get me wrong, but especially as you said, whether they be mature, whether they're in a field that has to do with mental health or something like that, being more appropriate is all I'm saying, to be able to discuss with them, because otherwise that person across the table can look at you and be like, how can I put it? I don't know if there's any other way to put it. Somehow weaponize it against you. Maybe they don't even know they're doing it. It's not to say that they're being a bad person. Maybe they've got their own conditionings and they were taught to be this way, to speak this way, do things a certain way. And a lot of women that I talk to are like, yeah, I want my man already structured, but what's the reality of that?
I thought of a good metaphor for this. I was thinking about, like, if you're a musician and at some point you want to get signed by a label, if you want to go that way, you kind of already have to be established by yourself. And then it's like, well, what's the point in the label then? There's a bit of benefit to it to grow a little bit, but you've done most of the work and the important stuff yourself. So I think it's a similar thing. You might as well stay independent. So it's a similar thing with, like, if one wants someone that's already built up, it's kind of like, well, what do I need your support for then? I've already done it all myself now. So to have someone to build with you.
You got a point.
Yeah, I'd encourage more people to go for someone that you can build with. But I get.
Yes.
You don't want someone that's not willing to build and that's got no ambition. I completely get that. I'm outgrown friends, so I can only imagine what it's like for a woman to have to deal with a guy like that, But
yeah, it's true. I think, where my mind kind of takes it is, like, yes, there are men out there that are like, for whatever they received in their life experience, they're well structured, they're out there kicking ass, but I think everybody's got a few missing decks or cards in their deck, right? We all have our inner demons, which you may see on the outside or temporarily doesn't tell you the longevity, like the full story. When I was in group therapy, I saw a lot of dudes that came in and I'm like, hold on a second, you're a doctor or you're a CEO, you own your own business, you got millions, you're driving in here with a Benz, and you're here? Why? I would be happy if I were you. And the stuff that pours out of their mouths, ooh, 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 ooh. And it was a learning situation for me. Like, you can't really assume anything. And also, in a relationship aspect, what is that person or that woman defined as built up? Is it someone's ability to, own their own business, financial wealth, not being disbanded from family? But if they have a picture, there's a vision, and everyone's is very different. So that's why whenever I encounter that, I'm like, all right, you've got your version. I think there's a generalized version, dude's got to have a job, dude's got to be able to, not be abusive, dude's got to be able to, care about my feelings. But there's a lot of other supporting factors to that personality or that individual that's very important, and everyone's different in that aspect. And that's where I think men need to come together and really, it's like an exploration of other men, because what I might be able to gain from you, you can also in turn gain from me when we learn something about each other in communication. So I think that was a very strong statement. So
yeah, I learned it from experience, having a men's group. Just being around other people that get it, for one. They understand maturity and the whole personal development stuff. And having a bit of accountability, being able to take criticism and feedback and see it as a good thing to learn from, rather than taking it as personal insults and things like that. And yeah, having that sense of tribe, I think really helps, because it sucks going it alone. That's one of the other things I'd add. So it's like the internal awareness and all that stuff is like getting the right support, being around the right people really helps. It can make things go so much quicker.
Right. It does. It does. And that's why, for me, I could say that it's been so beneficial to have run into the group, and it led to other things that I'll be talking about here soon. Like there's this one gentleman that I ran into that for about 2 months right now, he introduced me to dynamic self-awareness, and I was skeptical at first, and I was like, wow, this is simple, but it works. And between conversations with him and other individuals along the way, it has helped with the progress. Throughout the years, I could say I've been kind of getting bits and pieces, putting this thing together. It's like having Lego blocks, and I'm building this castle or this figurine, and this whole thing that I've been doing lately since ADHD has really pulled everything together and accelerating things much more quickly. So the building is happening so much more faster. It's just wild how I feel the progress and what I'm absorbing. But it's been through the help of other men, good men that have been caring and have been perceptive and sharing information that they're learning along the way, and also being patient, and knowing that we're ADHD. You know what I mean? It's some things may not stick immediately. We might not get it the first 10 tries, but we keep hammering and chiseling away, and it is a brotherhood. I love the tribe thing that you said. It is finding the tribe of men that have good hearts, that are like, all right, we're in the same zone here. I always tell people, as an example, we're on the same block. We're not on the same corner, but we're on the same block. And it's nice to know that, we're there together and we can assist each other with sincerity in some way.
Yeah, and you're either in a similar sort of position, you're both sort of similar in studentness, or even if they're like way ahead of you, it's like still a mentor to learn from, or you can mentor them if you're ahead of them, and see how it works also. And I love,
Right.
it's a beautiful thing when someone's just doing their thing. I said this like years ago. It's always beautiful to see someone doing their thing, whether that's making cakes at home so one day they can open up a bake shop, or just busking with a guitar or whatever it is. It's like just seeing them do their thing, and not be caught up in people think I'm weird, I've got to be normal and fit in and all that crap. It's like it's beautiful, and it's just better conversations to be around as well, better vibes, and see people building up their own little kingdom. I come up with something in my journal the other day. Was it a tyrant sacrifices the kingdom for the crown, and the king sacrifices the crown for the kingdom? It's all about
That's
just
That's good
being
stuff
above
right there.
anyone else or anything like that, but being with your tribe and helping everyone out.
Mhm.
That's kind of what kings do in my eyes. It's provide for people, it's make sure everyone's looked after, kind of thing. Look after yourself, keep things organised, that kind of stuff. So kingsmanship, try and carry it in my soul every day, cheesy as that may sound.
No, not at all. It kind of chimes in with something that they talk about in the corporate world. Are you a manager or are you a leader? Managers, they're telling people what to do, but it's all about insecurity. It's their self. They're micromanaging. And like, and they're effing with people for their own success. You can wind up a leader if you really apply yourself and you open your mind to being caring, because that's really what it is. It's leadership is caring. It's putting your employees first, because that once you're able to look at other people first and assist them, there's this reciprocation. When people see you as a leader, that's when people start appreciating you and wanting you to teach them or be with them, or there's just a connection that happens that's unreal. It winds up being a partnership in a way. As you said with the king's crown, when you're focused on the people, it's not the ideology of like I must be king. It's an ideology of the partnership that winds up happening with the community. And I see that there with our group too. It's like with Dave and a few other people that are on there. They're just there naturally to help, and you could feel the vibe of people just they look up to that. They are looking up to that, and it's so nice to see, and I could see that he's embracing the energy in a good way, and it's just like recirculating energy, and to be in that kind of a space, I think you wind up getting the most progress.
Yeah, I think all the best teams are made of, like, if every team member is a leader, able to lead themselves and others, you've got like the best quality A-star team you can get. Definitely.
Right. That's the missing component to what I was saying. So thank you. It's a leader teaches other people how to be leaders, not to be dependent on the leader, the king or whatever. It's empowerment. I want to empower you with this knowledge. And I love that. I love people who do that. I think it's gracious. I think it's lovely. I think that it's something that we should all embrace. Hey, what can you pass on that's fantastic? Yeah, to help these people.
I was surprised to learn in the men's group, like the guy said, love is kind of the core of masculinity, because it's like love and strength rather than love or strength. You need the strength to protect love, your boundaries, to protect yourself out of self-love, if you like. Looking after people, taking responsibility, that's all kind of out of love. But you need the strength to do it as well, you need the discipline. A useful tool I've learned to tell people to fuck off and mean it and be confident doing it, because it's, again, that's a useful tool. You can be a pushover without it. So, yeah, it's about strength and love rather than strength or love, which I think a lot of people, that's where people go, you get the whole toxic masculinity stuff, and there's an argument for that, they're not wrong, but I like to see it as, one guy said, it's better to see it as healthy and unhealthy, or mature and immature masculinity.
Oh, that's a great way of putting that. There's a superpower to having love and also being strong, knowing how to have the two. I've always felt that I've had that, but I didn't master it, and it was confusing along the way. But I think it's really powerful for a man to not just be willing to be a soldier of some sort, some kind of warrior, but to be able, because that's, you think of that, like, what's the energy behind that? It's rigid. But to also be soft and compassionate and loving at the same time, knowing when to use that strength, and also knowing when to shut off the compassion if you need to. Sometimes things get hairy out there, and no one should have that desire, the drive to want to be some type of vicious human being to any degree, but the capacity to be able to stand up for yourself or for others, and like you said, fuck off. I've had that ability for a long time, but I never really did it well. Can't say never. For a long time I didn't do it well. It was just, I guess it was toxic masculinity. It was unhealthy. I used it. It was too quick, 0 to 1,000 really quick, and then also the severity, the level. But I would never take it away. I think that it goes along with something that I heard with Jordan B. Peterson when he was talking to someone, and in so many words he was like, what's the virtue of being good? Does being good mean that you're not willing to kill, that you're not willing to, hurt or attack or whatever it may be? He goes, that doesn't make you inherently good. You can still be good. Our soldiers that are out there, what are they? They're not bad people. They're defending something. They're protecting something, and to be able to protect, verbally or physically, whatever it may be, to be that strong, I believe it is part of that virtue of being good as well. It's needed. It's nice to know that you're willing to do good deeds, but I do feel, especially as men, that we ought to be protectors as well. and there's different levels of protectors. You know, kind of like an MMORPG game. You know, and it's like, what's your stats? 99 luck, 89% magic, and da 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 da. You know what I mean? The breakdown. What I might be good at, you may not. Vice versa. We need each other. You know, and then we can teach each other to be strong in those aspects. But yeah, you know, I believe having the ability to diplomatically fuck somebody off is necessary, because there's a lot of terrible people that are out there, whether they're naturally bad or if not, they're conditioned wrong.
That's a
And they're
good way to
lost.
put it. It's it helps with the whole forgiveness stuff as well. If you understand the situation rather than just judge it. Okay. There's that quote in Ted Lasso: "Be curious, not judgmental." That, yeah, helps with your own sense of inner peace rather than just, you know, being morally righteous for not judging or anything like that. It's yeah, seeing the bigger
Yeah.
picture definitely helps.
It's and that's great. You know what I mean? To it's willingness. You know, to not just judge and assume, just be curious and explore. Like, why? I used to be that. I used to hear stuff right off bat and be like, what the and just get all boiled and hot. It didn't feel stupid when I later understood the real deal. Like, oh, I thought, yeah, I'm the asshole. I'm so sorry. I've been in that so many
Same.
times.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I still get it
yeah,
once in a while. I'm like, what a fucking idiot! Why didn't you just drive that way? And then it's like, probably got a reason. Maybe it's just stupid. And it's not his fault. It's stupid. You never know.
being able to reflect like that, that's inner work too. Being able to be like, all right, that's me in that moment. Let's break that down really quick. I want to know exactly what goes on in my mind in that moment, so that way I can work against it. And it connects to this thing that I've been exploring lately. It's that dynamic self-awareness. It's getting to know your energy. What's your energy in that moment? Why is it there? Why are you allowing it to be that way? Why can't you do anything to change that energy in that moment? That energy and our emotions, it's so quick to take us over and convolutes the mind. And I think that's empowerment when you're able to conquer
Yeah, I
that.
think we struggle with it more with ADHD, the limbic system and all that prefrontal cortex stuff. It's yeah, it's like we're not as good at the executive functioning part. So you have an experience, then like the emotional response, and then you're supposed to have like the part of the brain that thinks it through, and then you act. But we have the emotional response and then act, and then think about it after. If you even reflect, a lot of people don't. It's like a skill you have to practice over time, isn't it? That awareness and that. Hold on, I'm flipping out here. Right, let me take a breath and try to remember. Like I used to write down wisdom on a card, like what to do. Like I used to send myself to bed and just sit on the bed, like tell the kid off, calm myself down, and just force myself to try and remember like what's the mature approach here, because I can't think of it right now because I'm too pissed off and all I see is the problem and how irritating it is. But I practice just what was it to do? Oh yeah, right, breathe. That's one thing, and then try to be curious about the situation instead of judge it. Like try and understand their point of view and what their experience is, and then oh yeah, it's like if it's with my daughter, I can go give her a hug instead of like just being. Well, yeah, it takes practice. Let's say all the best martial artists start out as white belts, so yeah, you get there. It's definitely been paying off over years. That and lifting weights now. That's great. Everything, your whole nervous system, your brain, everything. It's like, I can get very little sleep.
Isn't it wild how it can?
If I got like 7 hours of sleep, I used to just yawn my way for the day. I'd have brain fog and things. Since working out, I can have like 4 hours sleep, which I wouldn't recommend. It's not enough. But I'm not yawning in the day. I can still think sharp and things. And it's like, whoa, this is wow, yeah.
It's maybe we should have a conversation about that on. Yeah, I'd like to have another conversation with you and some others about that. It's the power of just overall health. When you make changes that way. I know with me It's been great. Like, of course, we would never recommend 4 hours of sleep, but last week I was just, that was it. Just that was the theme that week. I kept telling my buddy, I'm like, dude, I'm dead, but I got things that I got to do. Because I'm not only doing the exercise, but because I completely overhauled my diet, my sleep is deeper, and I feel like even in that brief amount of time, I'm getting pretty good sleep, and I can still function at a high level to get things done that day. I've learned the power of napping, so I'm listening to my body as well. Like if I'm sitting there and I'm editing video and I'm like, oh, I'm working on my website, I'm like, and my eyes start getting heavy, I'm like, you know what? Let's just listen to the body. I'll sleep. I'll just conk out, I'm try not to go too long, but sleep is certainly a whole part of that, the health factor. But I noticed that ever since I started doing the weightlifting and putting stress on my body, things have gotten so much easier and clearer.
Yeah, my sleep's been slipping up. There's usually something pops up somewhere. It's always like a whack-a-mole, isn't it? Oh man, lifting, it's like it just puts everything, all your brain chemistry, your nervous system, it's like it sets everything up in place, you're balanced. And bit of nutrition, you don't have to get it perfect, you have to do vitamins a bit of B vitamins, I think, are all about the energy and that. Makes a world of difference, sets you up. Yeah, sleep, nutrition and exercise, just those trio alone make so much difference.
It has there for me.
Like,
I mean,
I already heard about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But until you actually experience it for yourself, it's like, whoa, this is wild.
When you're there, that's when you're like, holy shit, this really works. Like, I'm not going to kid you. This whole vegan thing was accidental. I've always taken care of myself. I can't say always. There's been a few years on and off where I've gained a lot of weight, excessive weight, getting up to nearly 300 pounds. And I'm like, no, we can't do this. And I get back into the whole physical routine. Usually underneath that heavy frame, I'm still, strong or whatever. But when this whole thing happened with my chronic illness, and I'm like, I'm really trying to improve my life, I'm like, let's just throw everything at the wall. I'm already trying to do a little bit of exercise that's within my means with this neuropathy deal. What does it hurt to eat healthy? And I took a look at what people were doing that were vegetarian and vegan, and I'm like, well, I'll put a little bit of that into my life. All of a sudden, 3-4 weeks later, I'm like, this is all I'm doing, and it's good. And when I try, the other day, my daughter, and I can't say the other day, there's been a few times my kids have been like, hey, try this, and it's just like quitting smoking. I taste everything. I feel the chemical on my tongue and how it's affected my body. And it's like you said, when you really give something a shot, you will give it the opportunity to stick and apply. You can't deny the benefit. And it's just, that whole exercising deal. I think it goes for anything. It's just, you got to give it 3 weeks. I think there's like a 3-week minimum thing, whether you're exercising, whether you're doing the nutrition thing, or even something like this, mental health. You got to give it a few weeks for it to stick. But the benefits have been tremendous. So
Definitely.
crazy.
You gotta have a good why as well, because people always told me, it's good to be healthy. The why was usually like, oh, you live longer. And I was like, I was depressed at the time. How would I want to live longer, But I never cared much about that. It's like, I want to enjoy my prime while I've got it. Fuck it. Now I can see like the psychological benefits. You got loads more energy, you get more done, clearer focus, just fucking less stressed, if anything, less irritable, less bitchy in general. It's you have to experience it. And I was gonna say, having a clear why helps, because if you're just doing it because someone said you should, or you feel like you should, you're probably not going to commit as much. I mean, it's hard to commit to new habits as it is with ADHD, but if you haven't got a why as well, you're like double fucked. So.
Oh god, yeah. Oh yeah. And the why can't be surface level, or I think that why has to be a very personal stake. You know, it has to be something like, for me, you know, honestly, it was like, fuck this neuropathy. I'm not going to let it beat me. I have a choice. I could either be dependent on everything, use my walker all the time, be stuck in bed, get sicker, cry about it, you know, lose everything. My mind, my stability in my emotions, and which was already all shattered. And the why for me was, no, I'm not going to let you beat me. This is my freaking body. This is my life. And I want to fight to make it the best that I can, because I've seen the worst from this. I've seen people who have, you know, it's as far as neuropathy has to go. It's just like anything else. There's a huge spectrum. You could be affected differently, and it's not all the same. But I've seen people, and no matter, you know, what spectrum they fall under with their pain level and symptoms and all this other shit, that they're not adhering to anything that really truly does provide, you know, any type of healing. They think they are, but in order to get it to work, I feel, and I'm not saying that it's a cure-all, because, you know, mine is very manageable. At least it's turned out to be. You have to apply everything. It has to be like a huge recipe of what is it going to take to get that why resolved. I can only use myself, and I hate to put the spotlight on me, but it really is a matter of, okay, eat healthy, exercise as best as I can do, you know, keep thinking outward, socialize, connect with others, bring as much love as I can in my life. With the nutrition deal, because it's physical, I gotta cut out the demons, the sugar. I have to cut out the you know, the whey products, the grain. I have to cut out the stuff that has chemicals, that's processed and things like that. And it was a bitch at first, believe me. Those few weeks I was like, oh my god, this is, you know, I don't like eating kale. All of a sudden, it just started to graduate into that goodness where it started to become so beneficial. Like, my body was like, okay, I can take this. It finally took, and here I am, you know, finally able to put the walker to the side almost 100% of the time. It's only when I get pain in my feet and my legs when I need it. But walking 6 miles the other day, I accomplished 10 miles, and
Amazing.
you know, eating better, less frequency and pain.
Saying amazing. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, man. I call it the good fight. So for me, it's my good fight. It's, I look at this thing in the face like it's a actual being, and I'm like, no, not today, no. And, you know, I'll catch you on my grave, but not like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good to have that, you know, that mindset of just jumping in there and just allowing it to apply to you eventually within those
It's funny,
weeks.
I never thought I'd like the whole being disciplined thing. You know, you kind of get a taste for it, and you learn to, like, my why for lifting has changed. It started out like, well, you know, I want to potentially start dating in the summer on a budget, you know, and get a little bit in shape, lose the belly at least a little bit, and be able to look half decent in the t-shirt, at least not be so skinny. And I forgot the other one. I'm sure there's another one that'll come back to me in a bit. But now it's like, oh yeah, I think it was give myself the choice of, like, do you want to be a competent man, or do you want to be a boy who makes excuses? That was like my tough love thing, because I like to have self-compassion and all that, but sometimes you need that bootstraps attitude. It shouldn't be one or the other. It's like knowing when to apply which. And
Dude.
yeah, now it's just the experience of it, the feeling of it. It's like, yeah, I can't believe I'm into this. But it's like, I hate the idea of, like, missing a day now. So I'm the guy who's getting it done, and I love it. So yeah.
That's strong, man. That's really strong. I'm glad you said that, because it's true. Like, it becomes God, it is. It's an addiction. It's like, look what I got today. Look what I did today. Oh, look what I accomplished today. Blah, 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 blah. And it's just, it's freaking glorious to feel that. And, you know, the boy with excuses versus like that man that just gets shit done. I can connect with that because with my podcast and my creative stuff, I've felt that about myself in that aspect. Yeah, when I worked at Apple and a few other companies, I went in there and I rocked, dude. But I was always like, man, when the hell am I going to do this for myself? I would get started, come up with the excuse, and then fail. And so many people have seen me over the years like, all right, here he goes again. He's trying again, guys. You know, I know that that's the feel like, you know, it's. I'm sure that they're not saying it so negatively, like, meaning they want to see me succeed, but they know what's coming. It's going to be, well, I'll do this for like a week or two and then, you know, find something else. ADHD, I'm always like, I'll do graphics, I'll do video, I'll do photography, I'll do music, and you know, it's always switching. And now, this is it, brother. This is it. I told my buddy last night, you know, I'm like, bro, I've always felt like this was going to be the space I want to be in. I've had friends and acquaintances and, you know, strangers out there, like, they've always said, this is your space, that you're going to help people, you're going to be a part of helping people, you're going to, you know, you need to connect with others because, you know, I believe that you have something to contribute. I'm like, nah, that's not me. I'm too fucked up. I've always said something along the lines of an excuse or self-doubt. And here I am like, no, this is my mission. You know, as far as where I'm at, I envision myself as being someone who just wants to naturally talk about this, to bring it to light, converse about it open and freely about all the facets of it, but introduce others to people like you and my buddy in Australia that I'm working with doing DSA, that dynamic self-awareness, and, you know, the group or whatever. I think that I want to help be a part of a connection point and discussion, a place to be able to bring people on. So what's your journey? Are you getting started? Are you in the middle of it? Do you feel that you've accomplished everything? What do you got left? But yeah, it is a great feeling to know here now that I've finally committed to this and I'm being manly about it. Every day I'm doing something for it.
Yeah, there's that feeling of just winning and building your life. It's like, it's hard to find the words for that. I'm usually good at finding the right words for things, but it's a whole new emotion that I haven't got a word for, you know. I
can agree with that. I've been lost of words. It's a feeling. It's just a feeling that it's like it pulls you. And naturally, before it felt like the energy of the dredge of going to work, like, here we go, I know I got to do this, and I'll do my best, to like excitement, where it's just like you wake up in the morning like, all right, so what am I going to conquer today? And it's just this pull. I know that is for me, but the words, the exact description.
Yeah, there needs to be a word for it, 'cause it's like the opposite of just irritability and low self-esteem, but it's also not arrogance, because sometimes you can be like addicted to the party and, you know, get arrogant and stuff. Just like seems like the opposite of self-esteem, but this is like a whole different thing. You can still be humble and, you know, have humility, but just, it's like you're not winning above anyone. You're just winning at life, winning at, despite all shit, you're sticking at it and building something, and, you know, you've done the internal work, you've got your courage, and you're building your confidence step by step, and yeah, again, just building that kingdom. It's awesome.
What you're describing there is something that I kind of talked about with the buddy. It's the feeling of success is different. Success is different for everyone. Some people, it's how much money can I make, how much land can I get, and there's nothing to knock on that. But some of us, you know, I'm speaking for myself, success is finally having that inner peace. I'm comfortable with myself. I don't wake up in the morning like, oh God, life again, motherfucker. Like, now it's like, what am I doing today? Oh shit, let's go for a long walk. And then after that, we're going to edit, we're going to record, we're going to get done on a website. There's this joy, you know, that's this excitement. It's all about that enthusiasm for my life. I think that's probably the word that I can apply to myself. I am enthusiastic about my life now.
Perfect. Yeah, it feels like I've been I don't know, kid in a toy shop. It's like, oh my god, there's so many things to do. Yeah, loving it. Rather than, oh god, there's so much to do.
Right. There was something that The Rock put up on video on TikTok, I think, and it chimed in with me. He was at the gym. He's like, I just got done working out with my buddies, bench pressing skyscrapers and Hummers and shit. Like, go wrong. I'm exaggerating, but the dude's built like a brick shit house. But was really cool. He was like, I used to come in here and be like, oh God, gotta go to work, gotta work out. And when you can really remap your mind, reframe it to think, this is what I get to do today. I get to work out and improve my body, overall health. It's like what we're doing. I get to take another step in the direction that I want to, of the man that I want to be, someone that's contributing in some way, shape, or form to humanity. A man's progress.
Yeah, it's really hard to see it when you're still in that pessimistic and self-pitying kind of state of mind, and it's understandable if your life's generally been shit. It's like, or not a whole lot to look forward to, and feeling stuck and all that sort of stuff. Not having your tribe and been there. It's easy to forget, like, when you're irritable, everything around you seems like it's irritating, even if it's not. So, and then when you're feeling good, everything feels good, even if it's not. Yeah, cup's just a cup, but you can feel different about it depending on your mood you project onto it and all that stuff.
Right, yeah. It's there's a power behind it. The whole pessimist and all this stuff, skepticism. And to speak to that, something that I want to include in this discussion as well is, for those that are out there that have watched this far and they have their skepticism and doubts in their inner, they got some struggles on the inside to be able to accept information, conversation, whatever it is that's about this stuff. I know I used to be that person that's like, well, I want to feel like that too. I want to get there as well, blah, 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 blah. I feel for you. I know exactly where you're at when you want something and you feel like it's unattainable. You can't, you want to reach out and grab it, but it's like trying to grab at mist, you know what I mean? It's not solid enough to you, but it's real, and certainly want to make sure that you're not left out in this conversation. I believe that individuals that are in that position where they feel like it's unattainable should be emphasized by people who have done what they've done to get to this point, to be able to say, hey, listen, it's real, you can do this. I know that life can be shit sometimes, and a lot of times we get cards that are dealt to us that we received, we didn't want. There's a lot that could be said about life as to why it's getting us down, why it's put us in this mental and emotional state that's causing even our physiology overall to get really out of place and get all defunct. It's just a matter of, yes, you got to put in the work. Everyone wants that quick fix. I believe in pills and a skill. Like, if you got to take a pill, that's fine. Medication is okay. But it's like my old therapist that my ass into shape about a few things said, pill and a skill, you need something to back that up. There's no such thing as a quick take on this. There's nothing that's going to be an immediate thing. It's usually a recipe of things. You got to incorporate a lot of things, and it sounds like a lot of work. It's just being kind to yourself about accepting that.
I find it
you could look at it as
you only have to do the first steps for now. You know what I mean? Because it can seem like an overwhelming mountain. I used to sort of trick myself doing that stuff, like, it seems like so much. It's like, no, just do what you got to do today. Like, screw everything else, just today's stuff.
Sounds like baby steps, little by little. It chimes in with the kindness thing because it's like the goals thing that I had in one of my previous podcasts that I mentioned about Bruce Lee. Goals are great, but not all of them are meant to be achieved. And I think a lot of us beat ourselves up over that, but you know, you can have goals along the way to that goal and be kind to yourself and forgiving, but then that goal might change. And throughout the whole thing, I feel that it's like, okay, well, let's just say the goal is to, I don't know, for lack of a better example, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, every freaking day you've got this game plan, Monday, Thursday, freaking Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. At this certain time, things need to be done, but something might interrupt you. And then you beat yourself up. Don't. It's you're working at it. Scratch it and say, well, that happened in that moment. And then what's the next goal? Well, I'm going to make it to this day, or if not, I'm going to make up for it right now. And then maybe after a while, that goal might go from, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, to all of a sudden you've embraced it enough to where it's like, what, I want to start, I don't know, bodybuilding, or I want to do CrossFit. You see what I'm saying? It's a graduation. And as long as the mindset is goals and being kind to yourself about those goals when you're achieving them, that makes for a great game plan, a great way, a tactic, really.
Yeah, be
as
a
far as
humble
getting
student, and I think reflect without judgment, learn as you go, and focus on what you got to do in the present, not the future, because then you're just gonna overwhelm yourself. Reminds me of this funny little Buddhist story. I think it's Ajahn Brahm, his name is. So the story is some guy's working at a Buddhist monastery, and there's this bossy monk telling him what to do. It's like, okay, you got to pick up all this like heavy gravel, put it into the wheelbarrow, and then need you to move it all over there. So I spend like hours doing that. And then comes back out and goes, try it over there, actually, might look better over there. So, doing all that. And he goes, no, actually, I think it looked better where it was in the first place. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? And all this stuff. But then the idea is this other monk touches him on the shoulder and goes, pushing the wheelbarrow is easy, thinking about it is hard. And that one stuck with me. So just focus on, like, you just got to do, your body does the work. You don't even do it, your body does. You just got to focus on what you need to do and simply do it. That's all there is to it. But we have all this mental noise that gets in the way.
It's the passiveness in the mind, when you achieve that passiveness, to be able to see things passively. A lot of people are looking for things that melt stress, but it's mastering not even allowing that stress to enter. There's nothing you don't have to work against it if it doesn't even come to fruition.
To fix at that point. And you got the mental resilience because it just bounces off. Yeah, that's a really cool way to put it. I've never heard him say looking to melt the stress. Yeah, that's a cool way to put it.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. I love how this conversation was going because that just my brain's like,
my brain's already going to addiction.
Let's write that
I
down.
love how someone called it self-medicating. It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in. We look for the melters, the ones that I want to melt my stress away, blah 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 blah. But getting to the point, and of course there's no perfection in it because there's going to be things in our lives where it's just like, oh fuck, I can't believe, I missed a flight to that, concert that I was going to go to. Oh shit, I totally forgot about feeding my cat at whatever 5 o'clock, and now it's like 10. Whatever it may be, it's going to happen, but it is the frequency, just working hard at it, so that way the frequency isn't there. It keeps the temperature down in the body and in the mind. And when I've learned that, and it's been so great to embrace that now that I'm learning not to allow stress, period, to enter, or when I start to feel it in my energy, like, oh, I don't want that, find a way to cancel it out. So that way I'm not trying to cool back down, because cooling back down can be a huge process. It can really be, super challenging in trying to find your center again. It's an energy burn, and it's not a fun one at that. And sometimes we find unhealthy things in order to melt away that stress, and that causes stress, and then we wind up in this vicious grind. It's
ended up with addiction and all sorts with that. I found like there's with the stress stuff, often it's just getting too attached to a little thing, or it can be your expectation isn't in line with reality. That's one thing I've learned. It's like, okay, no, reality gets to dictate things, not you, not your, your bitchy little expectation. Because you're practically a child throwing a tantrum. Like, it's not what I want. Yeah. But then if it's a bit more of an extreme emotion, then it's triggers, and it's like, okay, there's something to reflect on here, because something's setting off, something I haven't addressed properly yet.
I was doing the lawn yesterday. I had these boots that I haven't worn in forever, and I wanted to wear them to go. It's on the line riding. It's my son's riding lawnmower that I was going to be using, and I noticed, I was like, wow, the bottom of these feel tacky. Well, I was thinking to myself, I've got these other pair, and I've got a couple of other pair of shoes I could have used, but I'm like, eh. And for some reason, I ignored that part of my brain. I was like, you should probably use the other ones. And I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm riding this thing, and all of a sudden I look down, and the soles are now turning into a gel that are melting and just gooping onto the lawnmower. And I'm like, and still, I'm like halfway through mowing the lawn when I really noticed this, and I'm like, I'll just clean it afterwards. Dude,
something stupid. Yeah, definitely.
Bro, at the very end of mowing the lawn, it's just, oh God, this whatever it was rubber, whatever it was, caked onto the pedal, onto the sides of this thing. And I'm like, now I gotta clean this. So I go out and I get this rag and some oil, and I'm like going at it, and I needed to do some things with editing and stuff for the, my brand and everything. And I started to feel it. I should have, I could have. And then the sun came out and it hit my face. And just as I'm starting to notice, like, I don't want this. I don't want this feeling. I haven't had this feeling in forever. I don't want it. And then the rock kicked into that voice. I was like, the sun came on. I'm like, you know what? I get to be out in the sun. I get to be outside. I've been doing a lot of editing. I have not been going out unless it's been for my walks. But you know what? Let me just enjoy this. And the things that I wanted to work on, there's no deadline for them, really. Let me just push that goal a little forward. And now I have a new goal.
Which is to tell the boot story on the podcast.
I just want to...
Which is to tell the boot story on the podcast.
Well, now it's here. Probably it was, subconsciously, but, I...
So you can frame anything as a win. Yeah.
See, there you go. Yeah, I appreciate you, Danny. You just framed that one for me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Really cool that you can catch it, in the moment of it, because it takes a while to get there. It's so fucking useful.
It is, dude. This whole dynamic self-awareness, it really is amazing. And next thing you know, a few minutes later, I'm chilling, I'm cleaning this thing up, just enjoying myself. It went from something that before ADHD, DSA and all that, I would have probably beat the holy shit out of myself. Like, what an idiot. I can't believe it. I lost my time and I'll go get a 6-pack and fuck this. Not that there's anything wrong with good libations, but not like that. Like, I want to enjoy myself and have fun and laugh it up, not use it as a tool to be like, like the whole melting stress away, in the wrong way. But yeah, dude, it was awesome. I felt like it was a huge achievement for myself in the whole grand scheme of things.
I love that.
But
yeah, man, I've done a similar thing. Like, I caught myself getting almost a mental breakdown over a bloody egg because I was in a hurry. I think I had a load of things going on. Need to get placed for certain times, and then the bus is already unreliable and things like that. And yeah, as okay, we need to quickly make this like bacon and eggs. So I need to eat some up before I go out. And then like the fucking egg kind of slipped, and then it was all over the hob, and it was like, oh my fuck, I'm gonna be late, so I'm gonna spill this, and like doing that catastrophizing, just seeing all the dominoes falling, how it gets worse and worse, and now it's gonna fucking end up fucking up the next 10 years of my life. I just stopped myself in my tracks. I started laughing at
man.
myself. Like, I've turned into Basil Fawlty. I don't know if you've seen Fawlty Towers, but yeah, guys. So, yeah, oh my gosh, I'm having a mental breakdown over an egg. When in reality, like once I could step back, it was like just get a tea towel and just there you go, scoop it up, stick it in the washing machine, done, not a problem. So that's all it was.
No, really, just a broken egg. Just oh well, you know. You win some, you lose some, and it's that passiveness. You know, I love to hear that. It's just you learn how to control your feelings. You know, you identified what was going on in that moment, and you went to work. And something as small as that. Look, man, I love being in the kitchen. I love my breakfast. I was in there in the kitchen this morning making my eggs, you know, after doing my fast, and I'm like, please go right. And then I did one and the same thing, and it broke. And I'm like, it's okay, it's not perfect, but I'm eating it. Like, it's so funny, like the perfectionism and OCD in me. I just realized, God, that is so strong in me. It's been so strong, and now to be able to just, you know, just be like, oh well, you know, it's just a friggin' egg. You just telling that story reminded me of that feeling this morning. Like, yeah, I'll eat it. No big deal. But it all just does, and I hope for our viewers and listeners that are out there, hope everything is, you know, makes sense. It comes together that, you know, you can conquer this feeling, the emotions, the mind, the mindset. ADHD. It's something that we all have, but it's also something that we can learn to overcome in ways. It's not a perfect process. I mean, that's our deal. There's a lot of people that have, you know, whether it's addictions, whether they have anger issues, whether it's, you know, there's all kinds of conditions that are out there that we likely must live with for the rest of our lives, but we can learn to manage better, and that's what all of this is all about, you know, and hopefully getting people to understand that are really in a challenge spot, like something that you said when you said something about being further along the way. It chimes in with me. It's like the timeline. You know, Danny and I are on a certain part of our timeline that's further along the way, but we were once there in the very beginning, not even getting started on our path and journey, but it's achievable. You know, you can get on this and make this work.
Yeah, it's so strange. You used to have like list of insecurities, like anxieties, like full on depressed for many years, kept it secret, and then like lonely, loser, had like nothing going for me status wise, all this stuff, like bullied myself in my head without even realising it, the whole fucking like addiction. It's so weird. It's like I like to be the living proof, you know, if I can do it then yeah, I've seen people even worse off than me had a real shit start, you know, and I think some of the best people I know have all started out really shit and then just chipped away bit by bit, learn as you go. Yeah, start out as humble student, you can master anything really.
Yeah, just getting started really, getting started. The humble student, again, I can't say it any better, just being passive and peaceful about the whole process, kind to yourself. It's just all the great masters have made mistakes. They fucked up along the way, and that's the recipe. You know, it's part of it all. Something does not get created or resolved or whatever without there being trial and error and also mistakes that are along the way. I think that's the way I want to say it, because I think a lot of us that are out there that are seeking something to master, no matter what it is, we're seeing these masters and like, oh man, they're doing it perfectly. Well, you know why? Because they put a lot of effort into it. They fucked up a whole lot. They tried over and over and over until it stuck. Don't think this all comes with ease. No. It takes years. And I know for me it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this over the years, and then finally something just clicked recently, and it's happening. But I know what it was like to look at other people and be like, I want that, but I don't think I'll ever get it because I just don't know how. Well,
Yeah, it's
get your
easy for him.
resources.
He's got this and he's got that, and he used to do a lot of that as well. Yeah.
What it is, the way I feel I can say it is, you just haven't allowed yourself.
Mm.
You haven't given yourself the fair chance. Or you're afraid of the process. You're afraid of the work that goes into the
Yeah, I had
process.
a whole lot of that. It's like used to fear failure, and then I think the more you practice it, the more you get comfortable with it, and then I can't believe I'm at a point where it's like I enjoy it. It's like, what's the next adventure I can do? It's like you kind of expect mistakes, and then it's like, yeah, so I'm enjoying it. I'm doing it. I'm just
Yeah.
the art of doing it. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
if I've mastered
exactly.
anything or if I mess it up or whatever. It's just the joy of doing it. Yeah.
Right. Something that was pretty key that I learned in this DSA thing was remember that feeling,
Mm.
and that's helpful too. It's when you're aware of this feeling of passiveness, this peacefulness, good energy, you can then eventually get to a point, and I think that's where what we've been talking about is with the egg thing and the mowing the lawn. It's just we know what good energy is like. We know what having a peaceful state of mind is like, and because we can recall it, it's easier for us to get back to. But with practice, that's how it becomes easier, because you're like, oh, I remember this. It's just like gymnastics. Who the hell does that right out the womb? Or like, who's naturally, guess what, dude? Bobby yesterday, he started doing backflips on trash cans, and now he's in the gold Olympics. It's like, it never happens that way. What happens? You got to bust your crotch a couple of times on some bars before you get there, right? But then, when your feet remember where to plant themselves on the land, you celebrate that. You're like, holy shit, I got that. And then it becomes addictive because you want more and more and more. And that's the feeling that should be invoked
Crushing
every
it
time.
to crushing it. Crushing them to crushing it.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's it. When you say crushing it, I think it's a celebratory word. I think it should be in everyone's language. Are you crushing it? Because it's that feeling of like, yeah, I did it, yeah, I crushed that shit. And it's when you learn to live with that, celebrate every good moment, no matter how minuscule it is. It becomes part of the process. It gets ingrained in you, and then it starts applying to other things in your life.
Oh yeah, love it.
Don't know if there's anything that you want to quickly add before you take off, before I wrap this up for us.
Mentioned that the whole Buddhism side of things is mostly about letting go, detaching, accepting reality for what it is, and then Stoicism is more the focus on what's in your control rather than what's out of your control. That's been a massive help. So just for the sake that I didn't mention them earlier, I'll throw them in. Other than that, I'll have to send you a link to put in at the bottom. There's loads of things I could link in, like old men's groups and things like that. But yeah, whatever I want to throw in there, that'd be cool.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love that, because I know I want to explore it and understand it more. Whatever that I could do to, add to this whole, what I'm exploring, not only just for myself, but to be able to provide to everybody else. I think it's been great talking with
Likewise.
you. It's nice to have another comrade here in support to try to help others. Everyone, thank you for listening, and hopefully this was helpful to you in some way, and you feel that some of this can help get you started on your journey. If you want to, any of you guys that are out there that feel like you're looking for a great place to get started with men's ADHD support group, I can also include the link there. Please, take a look at this. There's great information there. You don't always have to be a part of the actual conversations, whenever there's whenever we speak here on certain intervals throughout the week in video conference, but you'll find a lot of great dudes there, a lot of great information. And again, thanks for being here. If anything, take care.
And you,
Have a
mate,
good one.
appreciate it.